Okay. All right. So, good evening, traders. Good evening, Kenya. Good evening, Zambia. Good afternoon, UK, and evening, US too. Yeah. South Africa. Good night. A good night. Yeah. And all others. So, I'm so glad to be back home, and I was looking forward to this opportunity just to continue sharing. But very, very soon, especially if COVID will allow us, I think we will take this to even a higher notch, a higher level. Right now, we started with the signals, which means we not only do the theory in class, but you also get a chance to trade daily, you know, and see how it is. Like I give you this, I do the analysis for you, wake up, do the analysis, and then I share with you, and then you actually can trade daily, which is one level. Then the next level that I'm going to be trying to figure out how to do is actually an opportunity for us to meet together and trade. It's one thing to discuss and talk about trading in class, but it's another when we are all together with our laptops and we are looking at the charts, the markets, and we are actually trading together, like live trading. Now, I think that will be the real next level, more like a trading club or something like that. But essentially, we meet with our laptops and we trade live. We pick a particular market and then we trade all of us together. That way, if somebody is stuck, then I help there right there and then. If people need a bit of help, then we give them the instant help they need. That will be the next level we shall do. But in the meantime, I'm not seeing many of you taking advantage of the signals, but you should. Okay? Because by the time we're doing our meeting for live trading together, my hope is we will not be going through the basics again. We'll have covered and taken care of that. So anyway, without further much ado, today I wanted to look again at the Forex market time zones. Now, the Forex market time zones, for many of you, um, you're already familiar with what that means. But for those maybe who are not familiar, I need to go back and give you like a heads up, an overview of what really it means uh, to have. Okay, let me see. Want to insert slide. Sorry. So this whole idea of forex time zones, um, it's important to know. Important to know because it provides us different opportunities when we actually start trading. So, in particular, I want to look at, that we live in the world and the world has different time zones, the world time zones. Forex has something similar, okay? Something very, very similar. So, you'll find that if this is North America, so the Americas, we'll keep it at the end on this side. Oops, okay. Americas. All right. And then somewhere in the middle there, we have Europe, and then on the far end, we have Asia. Okay. So Asia actually is quite big. It stands for the the Asian market where we have China, we have Japan, we have the Koreas, we have Australia, we have most of these Eastern countries. You know, Europe normally starts all the way from Scotland, England, all the way to Eastern Europe, um, you know, and Russia until you cross over to the Asian side. And of course, the Americas, there's pretty much the Atlantic, west of Atlantic. Now, because of the nature of the rotation of the world, the way the world operates, then naturally you find that these time zones have been given the same names. So you'll find that we'll start with the middle. Okay, the European session usually is 9 or 8 o'clock. Sorry, 8 till 5. That's the official time. Okay, but because of the we call it Central Standard Time, you know, we know that they normally start counting 00 GMT because of GMT. So then you find that everything else is pegged on that GMT. So GMT. If you look at your clocks, usually on the Forex platforms, usually they are quoted in GMT. And usually that's essentially the European or the London time. So for us in Kenya, we are basically GMT plus 2, depending on the season. So sometimes we are GMT plus 3, sometimes GMT plus 2. So during summertime, like now, we are GMT plus 2, which means that essentially, even though it's 8 to 5, so you can add 2 hours, so that's 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. Okay, and depending on the season, this could change. It could be 11. So it's always either 10 or 11, depending on the season of the year. All right. Um, that's European time. What does it really signify? What do the time zones signify? They signify the time when the big players, basically the banks, large financial institutions like insurance companies, uh, the big money movers, when they start operations, it doesn't mean that that's when Forex starts operating. No, it just means that the big money people get into the market. Like the banks open usually from 8 till, well, technically till 3. But by the time they close everything, it's all about 5 p.m. So, um, so sometimes people think that that's when Forex market is open. No, it's not when it's open. It's when the big money movers actually enter that market. The big money movers are the banks and other financial institutions. Um, that's 8 to 5. Now, for Asia, okay, let's start with the 8 to 5. So Asia usually is ahead of European market. I don't know if it's ahead or behind, but yes, it's ahead. So these guys, you find that their market will start tonight, okay? Maybe around 11, 10, 11 p.m. till around 7 in the morning, okay? Of course, if you look at GMT, for us, it's at night, okay? And the American session, same thing. If we're using our time GMT, then essentially the American session starts around 3, okay, 3 p.m. till about 11 p.m. Sorry, yeah, 3 to 11 p.m. So what does this mean? It means that for the Americas, at 3 p.m., that's about 8 a.m. in New York. Okay, New York is the center of all this. 8 a.m., and that's when the banks are opening up. Okay, and like I said, 11 p.m. here, that's about 8 a.m. in Tokyo, and I think Sydney. That's when their big banks are opening. Yeah. So, what is the significance? What's the significance of all this? Why should we even know or be aware of that? Well, it's because we are in Forex, and Forex markets move a lot when there's liquidity, when there's money being pumped in and out of the market. So the biggest amount of monies are pumped in usually when the banks are opening. And that's why you see a lot of movement up and down and so on when the banks are opening. So again, we'll start with what we know, which in this case is Europe. Okay? So the usual currencies that become alive during the European session is anything euro. If you see euro, USD, euro, what, anything euro, okay, euro. The base currency is euro. This second one doesn't matter very much. Now, the other one that moves a lot is GBP, Great British Pound. Okay, so any currency that is GBP, so it could be GBP, JPY, GBP, USD, GBP, Canadian dollar, GBP, whatever. Okay, so during the European session, the currencies to watch are the ones where the first currency is European by nature, like GBP, Euro, and the Swiss franc, CHF. So any currency that has CHF, will be moving. So what am I saying? What I'm saying, you find that even when I send the morning signals, okay, when I send the London breakout signals, usually you find a good chunk of them are European based because that's when that market is moving a lot. So the difference is you'll find that uh, before before London opens, you'll find that the market is moving, but not very much, just a little bit, especially during the Asian session. But then once London comes in, then now you see the big movements in the market. Okay? And remember, we make money when the market moves. When the market moves a lot, that's when we make money. When you hear people are saying they made 100 pips, 200 pips, 700 pips, that's because they've taken advantage of this big movement. All right. That's why we need to know about the time zone you're trading. So to get those big moves, big pips, you're more likely to get it during high liquidity time. And the high liquidity session usually is the European session first, followed by the New York session. Now, what currencies become alive during New York session? Well, of course, you've guessed it. Anything USD, anything USD, and CAD, Canadian dollar, CAD. So if you see any pair that has USD or Canadian dollar, then from 3 o'clock our time, those currencies will start moving a lot. And there are people who actually specialize. They don't want to trade all the other currencies. No, they pick one particular currency and they specialize in that currency. What are the advantages of specializing in a currency? Well, you get to know them. You get to know the behavior. And again, it's so more like human psychology. It's like, how do you get to be with somebody? How do you get to be with boyfriend or a girlfriend or or a wife or something? Usually, you must have spent time with them. Spend time with them. You get to know them. You get to know their behavior. When things happen and so on. Okay? So similarly, in forex, it is a good idea. It's a good idea to start picking up currencies that you like. Okay, and those currencies, try and hinge them with the time zone that you like to trade. If you're a person who's always busy during the day, 8 to 5, you don't have time. Well, you can join in the American session, which is, anytime from 3 till 11 p.m. But then between 3 to 11 p.m., then your best currency is anything that has USD, anything that has CAD. Okay. Um, well, the euro and the GBP and all that stuff will be fine, but they'll start slowing down, whereas these ones will still be very active. Again, if you want to maximize. Well, what if you can't trade 3 to 11 and you can't trade during the day? You're a busy person and the only time you can trade is at night. Well, then you are also lucky. You have the Asian session. The Asian session starts from around 11 till about 7 a.m. Despite the fact that it is considerably slower than the other two market sessions, it still moves. Now, here, if you look at the Asian currencies, especially the Australian dollar, the Japanese yen, okay, New Zealand dollar, NZD, okay. Too bad they don't normally put the Chinese, currency there, or at least most platforms don't. Yeah, these are the ones that actually move a lot at night, well, or nighttime. So if you are that person who doesn't have time and you can only do it at night, then I highly suggest you start befriending some of these strange currencies. Well, they're strange because I don't normally trade them, but they do move too. Relatively, probably not as much as the others move, but yes, they do move. And yes, you can still make money. All right. So those are the currencies that move, as we've said. Now, of the three markets, which is the most uh, liquid, like which one has the most amount of money being moved in the market? Well, I think we may have mentioned this before. In terms of liquidity, the biggest amount of money normally is in the European session. Okay, so the European session has the highest volume of money. So you might see a lot of big moves. Then, of course, second is the Americas, okay? And then third is the Asian. Does it mean that you're likely to make less money in the Asian session? No. It just means that during that time, there's less volume of money moving compared to the European session or the American session. But yes, there's still money being moved. You can still make money. You can still make very many pips. All right. But you have to get used to their, I call it weird currencies. So I don't quite know their behavior, but I know that like Japanese yen, sometimes when I look at the chart, I see it goes a lot, like up and then down and then. So it does have its own crazy characteristics. Okay? But I don't trade them. So that's number one, highest liquidity. All right. Number two, what are the highlights of these different zones or different trading time zones? Well, the highlights, I think I mentioned this in the previous class, but I'll share it in this class again. Um, the highlights, first, let's start with the European session because we are lucky. We are in Africa, hence we get to see the two main market sessions, almost beginning to end, and a bit of Asian session at the beginning. So the European session usually has the biggest thing to look out for the European session is what we call the London breakout. Uh, so so this is the Americas. This is the European. Oops. European. And then this is the Asian session. Okay, so in terms of liquidity, we say that the European has the highest, the Americas second highest, and then the third one is the Asian session. All right. In terms of, let's see, the highlights for those sessions. Well, in London, or rather European, the London breakout. This is the must. If you are going to be a trader, you need to know about the London breakout, know how to trade it, and if you're serious about making money, this is where it is, the London breakout. There are people who only wake up for an hour or two, do London breakout, and they're done. That's it. They are professional traders. They do just 1 or 2 hours. They've made their money for the week or for the month, forever. It doesn't matter. They're done. Okay. So London breakout provides interesting opportunities. And this is where I want you to pay attention. Of all the markets, the London breakout is a bit strange. Why? Because it comes after, right after the Asian session. Well, after, of course, the US has closed, then the Asian session. So at night, the Asian session moves up and down a little bit, but if you look at the highs and the lows of this Asian session, they are defined very early in the night, like by 11 p.m. You find that the Asian session will pick up like a high, and then maybe by around 2 or 3, it will pick up a low, and then the remaining of the time it will just be trying to move, more like surviving, you know, more like surviving until the London session. So the fact that you can easily pinpoint its high over the night and you can pinpoint its low over the night, that is where the money is made. Because when London breakout happens, in fact, it's called London breakout, essentially it means that the London session provides opportunity to break the last night's high of the Asian session and the last night's low of the Asian session, which means currencies that become alive during this time are like the GBP, anything Euro, USD, these currencies become alive. USD, GBP, USD, GBP, whatever, Euro, GBP. What happens at this time? Well, if you look at the currencies, what will happen is they'll be moving slowly before 6:30, before 7 o'clock, moving slowly. Then from around 8, you find that they're now starting to hit either that bottom or this bottom. Okay. And after the banks open, then they will go. Either go and continue now all the way up, Or if they're going down, maybe they'll come back this way. Sorry. They'll come break this market, come test it, and then disappear. So, what are we saying? We are saying that London breakout provides a unique, rare trading opportunities, and the people all over the world, they know that professional traders, they know if you want to make your money, you wake up for an hour or two and you're done. I mean, like we know in our class right now, in our class, I know for me in London breakout, I can easily make between what? Between 200 and even 1,000 pips for that session. I can. Yeah. And now, before I just used to say it and I would do it, people would think that, oh, maybe it's a joke. But now we have in our own group, we have people who have learned it. They've learned the trick that during this London session, you can make very many pips. And I don't know if the magnitude of what these guys have been able to do. I'm talking about Isaac, I'm talking about Ken, myself, and others who are attempting to do at least 100 pips for that session. I don't know if you know the magnitude of what they have accomplished up to now. If you are forgetting, let me refresh your memory. Okay. In a standard account, where a standard account is $100,000, okay, and if you have what you call 0.1 lot size, not even 0.1 lot size. Right now, I always encourage you guys to do 0.01. All right. So with 0.01, okay, usually, plus our accounts are small. I always tell you $1,000, okay? But you find that here, if you make the equivalent, if you make one, one pip, sorry, yeah, one pip, you'll find that it's about 0.1 of a dollar, which means you almost have to make 10 pips to make $1. Now, we're talking about here. Now, the news here is even with that small, and I call it small, lot size, when you start making one pip in a standard account, then one pip quickly gives you $10. One pip, $10. Which means if you can be shooting for only morning breakout, the London breakout, you only go for 10 pips every day. It means that every morning you'll just be waking up for a few minutes, do your 10 pips, and you have your $100. Then you can go back to sleep. That's only at 10 pips. 10 pips, you make your $100 clean, you go back to sleep. Well, but because you are in this class, and I know many of you will soon be making 100 pips in that session. I don't even want more. I want you to be able to make 100 pips. By the time you make 100 pips in London session only, then you'll be making 1,000. That's $1,000 for about an hour or two. I don't know about you, but nobody in Kenya can pay you that kind of money for an hour or two of your work. So you can do $1,000 every morning. You do $1,000, then you go back to sleep. Who wouldn't like to do that? Who wouldn't? Now, by the time you start doing 2 or 3 or 4 or 500 pips, my friend, you're a walking millionaire in the making. In just a few, very, very soon, once we start putting these numbers together, you'll see what will happen. But I believe even from this group, we should be able to get many people, even a majority of people, where you can be shooting for only 100 pips daily. That's it. You do 100 pips daily, I'm happy because I'll have achieved my goal. Because essentially, you're a millionaire. At 100 pips daily, you are a millionaire. When somebody tells me they can make 100 pips daily, basically they're saying they can do $1,000 daily. $1,000 daily is the equivalent of minimum $20,000, $20,000 in a month. That's in 20 days, which is minimum 2 million Kenya shillings every month. And what is that? That's a millionaire. Bottom line, what am I saying? I'm saying London breakout and become your bread and butter. All these other things people talk about, news trading, blah, 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 all those things, they don't come anywhere close to London breakout. This is where it is at. And that is why I purposely told you guys, introduced you guys to the sniper trading. What you're seeing here is the opportunity of what we do daily. We call it sniper trading. For sniper trading, all we're saying is you don't have to go chase the market. No, we know the market was sleeping the whole time, it was moving, yeah. But for us, we are saying, okay, this was the last high. All right, so we're gonna set our traps right here. And we don't want much, we only want 10 pips there. Or if it decides to go down, again, we don't want much, we only want 10 pips here. So you only want 10 pips. But remember, you can also take 10 trades. So 10 trades times 10 pips gives you your 100 pips that you want daily, and you're out. What is so difficult about that? That, my friends, brothers and sisters, that's my dream. My dream is to be able to give you guys enough confidence to see this opportunity that I see. And maybe I'm crazy. Well, if I was crazy, then Isaac is crazy. Then Ken is crazy, and technically even you guys are crazy. But it's okay to be crazy. It's okay. All right. I know I've focused so much on the London breakout. Does it mean you can't make money in the New York session? Yes, you can. It is not as glamorous as the London session, but yes, when the market is moving up and down, you can use the zones. If you look at the video we set up, trading the zones, the time zones, yeah, you can use the zones. And similarly, the Asian session. All right, I will pause there and give you a chance to ask questions so that I don't end up just being all the talking. So this is where you ask questions. And you can ask.
Hi, Tom.
Excuse me, Tom.
Yes. Who is asking?
I have a,
Who?
Okay,
I'm Brian.
Brian. Okay, Brian. Yes, Brian.
Okay, for example, I'm using the MT4 platform.
Yes.
And I'm using it in my mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wanted to ask how can I put like more trades during those London breakout sessions?
My friend, you like doing things the hard way. Okay, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just telling you the good news. The good news is if you have if you don't have access to a laptop, download. No, don't even download. C Trader. C Trader has a very, very, very simple, easy to use app. You get it? Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm getting you.
Yes. And with C Trader, you can take like 10 trades all at the same time. Uh, my friend, former colleague in the office, I don't think he's with us today. He's called Nigel. Nigel was struggling with one of the other platforms. And I told him just download C Trader on your phone through IC Markets or through RoboForex. It is much, much easier. It's actually a click, 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 click. You can do 10 trades in a flash, just like that. So, yes, MT4 is good to start off with. It's a bit painful, but it gives you, let's say, a good start. So, can I suggest you transition to, CTrader? And the good news with CTrader, for those who don't want to download, you can even use the web version. It's very friendly. I hope I've answered your question. Yeah. Basically, MT4 is a bit hard. It's not very user friendly. It's a bit hard. Okay. Anybody else?
Coach,
Yes.
Vincent here.
Yes, Vincent.
Um, just something that was puzzling me.
Mm.
I'm a rookie, just starting off.
Yes.
So I did some trades the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I did about 20.
Mm-hmm. Good.
10 of them went my way, 10 of
Good.
them bombed out.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Then I noticed that because I put the stop loss at 35
Mm-hmm.
and the take profit at 4,
Mm-hmm.
I ended up on the
Negative.
negative
Good.
because the ones that I lost out,
Mm-hmm.
it was 35 pips
Yes. Yes.
times 9 or 10,
Yes.
but the ones that I gained
Mm.
was 4 pips times 10. So
Very
I'm
good.
wondering, should
Mm-hmm.
I have put a stop loss of, say, 10 or 5
Good.
to reduce that
Yeah.
the loss position?
Okay. Well, if you could see my face, I'm actually smiling. I'm not smiling at your loss, but I'm smiling that actually you can start seeing those little, I call them little nitty gritty things that actually start making your trade is it meaningful? Yes. Those little things that start making your trade different. You start becoming analytical because, like, now you can actually say you are able to look at your losses, and your losses are not they're not because you're losing, but because your stop losses are bigger. Sindio. So I'm going to give you a short-term solution, but long-term, you have to start figuring out, now maybe I need to start targeting 10 pips. And for the stop loss, you have to figure out something. When a trade starts going against you, do you want to sit and wait? Or do you want to decide if it is minus 4 pips or minus 5, I want out. If it doesn't turn by the time it's minus 4 or minus 5, I want out of that trade. And then you kill that trade. It's better to lose minus 4, to lose 4 pips, and you've already gained 10 in the other trades, yeah, than you wait for it to lose, uh, oops, 5 minutes. Yeah. So anyway, Vincent, in general, I'm glad you're there, but that gives you now the opportunity to start managing the trades. That's what we call trade management. So I'm actually very happy. So don't feel bad. Uh, you're beginning to get into the trading. So good job, good job. Okay, I see we have 5 minutes. I'm wondering if I should set up another session, or okay, let's see first if you still have any questions.
Hi, Coach Jackson here.
Yes, Jackson.
Yes. Now, first is actually not is a comment, not a question. At the beginning lesson, you did say need for us to come together at some point, and I think that is actually something that would be very helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
It is not the same.
Yes.
Really, to guide you, to tell you, no, this one you touched, you should have done this. Huh?
Yes.
It would help us really get on top of things even faster than we would do. We are doing good progress, yes. But now with that, we have I think the polishing bit, if you would go that, go a long way in actually helping.
Okay. That's my plan. We will find a place where we can all meet. You come with your laptops or phones, okay, and we trade. And live, if you have a question, I address it there and then. Okay, that to me is the next level. But in the meantime, you should take advantage of our sessions here. You take advantage of the signal that I send, so that we can start addressing those issues before we meet. I want us to meet almost like equals by the time we are meeting. Okay. So like now, what Vincent has just asked, to me that's important, because then we can now start analyzing together. I say, okay, fine. If we do it like this, this is what we are losing. How about we just say our goal is 10 pips, but if a market starts going against us, we all agree that okay, maximum 2 pips. We lose 2 pips, we are out of that gig, and we move on. In fact, I'd be very keen if you analyze those trades that you lost. I think you knew very early that they were going against you at a very early stage. And so we should have killed those trades. So even if they are 10 times 2, that's 20 pips. That's okay. That one you can recover from 2 trades of 10 pips each. Can I restart another session?
Yeah, I would suggest you do, because of ask a question on the issue of stopping losses.
Okay. All right. So give me just 2 minutes. I'm gonna kill this particular session, and then we continue. Just 2 minutes. All right.
Ni nini tena pale Jackson, naona maisha